Hello everyone, I hope you are well. Today's video is a little bit different. A bunch of us were sitting around the other day at a barbecue. Everyone there was an experienced martial arts instructor, and we were just talking about dojo experiences and specifically experiences with students over the years. Out of this conversation, one of the guys said that he'd recently been asked by a new student if he was too old to start martial arts. And this had happened to me about 2 weeks ago. This time of year is very common, the new year, people decide to start something new. And yeah, what do you say to people? So the first question I always ask people is, why do you want to learn martial arts? Because quite often someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s that wants to start a martial art, their reasons will be different from someone much younger. So that's important. Because if they haven't thought that through, it's very hard for them to then start managing their expectations, which is the second most important thing to take into account. They just want to get fit and they're not particularly interested in the Budo aspect of things, then they might be better off joining a gym. It might be safer for them, less rolling around and less chance of kind of injury. If they're absolutely sure they want to do a martial art, then you have to make sure you can manage their expectations. When you're young, when you first start out, the possibilities are endless. If you want to be the next Bruce Lee or you want to be the next world judo champion or whatever it is, if you start young enough, obviously the world is your oyster. But if you're in your 40s or your 50s, then just common sense dictates that isn't something that you can attain. As fit and healthy as modern human beings are, that's not going to happen. That ship has sailed. So you have to manage what you think you're going to get out of it. And there is this thing, especially in men, where people kind of talk themselves up a bit in their head. Their internal dialogue kind of kids them that they're younger and fitter than they are. If you read a lot of internet chat rooms, people always think that they could take a punch from Mike Tyson for $50,000. Oh yeah, I'd do one. Or they'd take a point off of Venus Williams in tennis. People are far more confident. No, you wouldn't. That's the answer. People are much too confident, and that can carry on when they're starting a martial art. Now, one of the major problems is people tend to kid themselves that they can do what they did when they were younger. So if they decide they want to come back into martial arts, shall we say, and they used to do it when they were younger, in their heads, they'll still be able to roll around, and all they can think of is what they did when they were 18, 19, 20. And now they're in their 30s or their 40s or their 50s or whatever, things are going to be very different. So you have to manage that. Prepare to be humbled. A lot of people, especially when they're older, you've lived your life. You've moved forwards in your career. You might be the CEO of somewhere or the boss of your own business or, a leading professor in your field or the manager at work. You'd have worked your way up and you've got a certain level of respect and you'll be the figure of authority or you'll have some kind of standing in your own particular professional community. When you walk through the door in the dojo, you will be nothing. And that's really, really hard for a lot of people to accept. One of the things I found absolutely fascinating about doing the dojo sessions with the other instructors, the Sistema guy and the Praying Mantis guy, and we've got a Muay Thai guy coming in, is that I've had to think and behave like a white belt. And it's a totally different mindset. Even though you kid yourself that you can do it, it's a totally different mindset, and it can be very, very humbling if you're not used to it. So that's something people have got to prepare for. Change your mindset, prepare to start thinking and acting with a beginner's mind. Now for some people, you'll have to completely realign your entire self-definition. So when you eventually start training, you have to allow for what your body can handle. Now, as we get older, everybody ages and everybody decays slightly. That's just the reality of the way things are. And the older you are, the more likely it is you've got a bit of arthritis or you've got a bit of an ache and pain or you've got an old injury that plays up sometimes when it's damp, etc., etc. You cannot go and train through these as if nothing happens. You're going to have to train around them. Now, we've got a number of students in our organisation that are older or either carrying long-term injuries or actually have physical disabilities. Now, that doesn't mean you can't train, but it does mean that you have to be aware of what you are capable of and be prepared to make gradual improvements. You can't just jump in and expect to do the same as everybody else. Now, it's not to say that you might not have skills or adaptations that will make you actually better than other people at some things. That's the swings and roundabouts of the different makeup of people. But you have to be accepting of what you've got. You know, I've got arthritis in my toe and I've got 2 dodgy shoulders, and I'm type 1 diabetic, as everybody knows. So you have to train with what you've got. And with a bit of practice, you can train as hard and your training can be as fulfilling as anyone else. So to wrap up, no, you're not too old. Yes, you do have to be realistic. And I just think that it's as much the responsibility of the person receiving this question, so the sensei or the senpai, senior student, or even someone that's watching the class and welcoming the newcomers as they come into the dojo. You have to make sure that people are being realistic, and then anyone can train, anyone can enjoy their Budo, and hopefully anyone can find a way of finding a road to self-improvement that gives them some real joy and fulfills the need that made them ask the question in the first place. Good luck.